Everyone my age is doing this right now, and that was the idea, is like get people off their phone into the world. You're not going to figure out what you enjoy if you're not physically there in the world.
Persistence culture. Persistence, firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. Culture, the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group.
Keep moving. This is Persistence Culture. We are Ventura County's premier podcast. It's Mambo and Brian back at the yellow table. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Mambo? How was Vegas, man?
Vegas was fun, but it wasn't good to me financially.
Ooh. Too much craps tables, or
what? Yeah, I hit the tables a little bit too much, and I don't drink a lot, but sometimes when I drink, I think I know what I'm doing. And yeah, I can't gamble and drink no more.
Oh no,
yeah.
That's why the cocktail waitresses are out, dude.
I know, free beer,
100%.
Yeah, but it was a fun concert for my daughter.
That's cool, man.
That's what the reason we went, and we had dinner. Man, I didn't realize how expensive Vegas is, man.
Oh yeah, it's crazy out there now.
Yeah, I think we got like 2 waters, and it was almost like $20. Not the big waters, just like the regular waters. Yeah, man. So we ain't going back for a while. Yeah, man.
Well, at least she enjoyed her time.
Yeah, it was fun, but back at it at work, and back at the yellow table, so this is fun. And back again, our guest today. This is your third time, right?
Third time here, yep.
Yeah, reintroduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, sure. My name is Skylar DeVault. I'm 24 years old. I'm a persistence culture. Been there for 2 years now, I think. Very happy to be here.
Man, you just made me feel old right now, man.
24. Yeah, that's a baby.
All my kids are older than you.
Really?
Yeah, my youngest just turned 25. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 25 in a month, so count it.
Crazy. So how's everything been going with you?
It's been going good. Yeah, I've had some transitions in my life. I was doing like CrossFit full time, and then actually had an injury recently, so I'm not doing CrossFit as full time anymore. Now trying to figure out my career long term, figure out what I want to do, what my passions are. Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out. I'm very much in a point in my life where I'm just trying to learn myself and see what I want to do.
That's awesome. So. And you're starting a business, right? Or you're in the process of doing that or figuring that out, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of juggling 3 ideas, to be honest.
Okay.
2 of them I feel like are very easy to start. One of them is kind of the one I'm the most passionate about, seems like the most difficult to start. So
sounds like the road that you should take, though. I don't know.
Yeah. One, I was just talking to my sister today. She's a veterinarian, and she's having some trouble at work. Long story short, we're like, why do you not have your own practice? It's so easy to get started. So I was thinking about potentially helping her with her operations, because that's something I'm really good at naturally. Helping her with operations, have her be the doctor, and we just start our own practice. So that was something that came up today, which is, I feel like, very tangible that we could just start right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a couple other ideas. I'm very passionate about animals, the environment. So I want to really make a tangible difference on the world and do something that's positive. And I've always wanted to start my own business, but the problem is like, I don't want to just like sell products to people that I'm not proud of. And that's just I'm not interested in just pushing sales and taking people's money. So I'm trying to figure out a way that I can do something for the environment, do something for animals, do something that I'm proud of, but also make a living at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
That balance is pretty tough to do.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they start something, they immediately try to think of something to chase the money, but you're trying to find the path of something you love and you're going to enjoy doing.
Yeah. My first business idea was around, I read this thing about the dose happiness chemicals, so dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And it came from a lot of my friends, like being young, being fresh out of college, or maybe they didn't go to college or whatever, but we're at that phase in our life where it's time that we figure out what we want to do, or at least just take a step in the right direction. And I don't know if it's social media in my generation or what's going on, but everyone feels so lost and so helpless and like you're seeing people be successful and nobody knows what they want to do or how to just do anything. And you apply to a million jobs on LinkedIn and send out your resume 200 times and you just don't hear anything back. And so there's this downward spiral of like seeing something that someone's doing, feeling hopeful that you can do it, taking the steps, submitting 200 applications, not hearing anything back, and then just downward spiraling. So my company my idea came from that idea of like, how do you help people figure out what they want to do and have it be something that's actually impactful at the same time. So my thought was that you don't just apply aimlessly to jobs. You're not going to get your dream thing, even like looking online. That's just my opinion. So I was thinking that if you approach happiness chemicals from like a foundation perspective, like until you can achieve your happiness chemicals, you're never going to like figure out what you want to do. So there's like scientific proof of activities that you can do for each chemical. So endorphins is a classic one, working out. So I think that everyone, in order to reach like this happiness homeostasis in their career, their life, they need to exercise in some way.
Right.
So the whole company would be that I create a program for people so that they can target each happiness chemical. And part of that is like, so you would exercise. Part of one of the other chemicals is like being closer with your family or whatever you call family. It doesn't have to be blood. So being like having your community of people that you're closer with, talking to strangers is scientifically proven to make you happier, which can at the same time actually open opportunities for you. So if you talk to strangers, it makes you happier. You're happy talking to them. Maybe they do a job that you like and you can communicate with these people, go from there. So yeah, the idea was that you give people like 2 activities per day that they have to do. And the ultimate goal is that 1, they feel happier, and then 2, hopefully they can figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
Another part of that I should mention is I would have people do something new, and that way, like you maybe you hate it, but maybe you do something you never would have thought of doing, and you fall in love with it. So then you can figure out your career that way. So
there was an interesting YouTuber, I think he's the author of The Subtle Way of Not Giving a Fuck. He did this like YouTube experiment where instead of asking people, like instead of coaching someone and taking their money to do like talk to a stranger, he would give people money. I mean, like it's like this far-fetched thing, but like it goes right along the lines that you're talking about, where like you got to push people to like do stuff that they're not comfortable with, and that once you push that comfort zone, that's where you start seeing growth and that homeostasis that you're talking about. And I think a lot of people, I mean, you were talking about like calling people that you're on your phone, right? And you're still doing that.
Yeah, every day I just go down my list of phones just to keep the relationship going and check in with people to see how they're doing, especially, if you have 500 contacts in your phone, it's going to be, sometimes it'll be a year and a half before you get to them. But, just to keep that connection with them. But one of the things that you mentioned earlier about, the confusion on what to do, what career choice or what type of business to start, I feel like a lot of people are like that because, since we were young, we were kind of told like, go to school and find what you want to do that. But now you have these little kids making millions just opening toys on.
It's insane. So there's this vicious cycle of doom scrolling where you're like, what do I want to do? Oh, here's what people do, what people are doing, and they seem happy. Maybe I want to do that. Oh, but there's no opportunity. Oh, but like it requires that you blow up on social media, which you can't trick the algorithm. Who knows? Like it's just this vicious cycle of like sitting on your phone and trying to figure it out. And everyone my age is doing this right now. And that was the idea, is like get people off their phone into the world. You're not going to figure out what you enjoy if you're not physically there in the world, doing it, talking to people, and get back to like our roots of who we are as people. You would talk to people, try things. People just sit inside now, and I'm overgeneralizing, of course, but it's definitely happening more often now than it ever has.
Yeah.
So. You know, I have conversations with, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning, you made me feel old, but you know, having conversations with, you know, a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old, and you know, when they ask me about things, I'm like, man, this is like a whole different world from when I got into the business that I'm in. So for me to try to lead them and give them the blueprint from the early 90s, it's not going to work today.
No.
So it's kind of, I don't know, if I was in their shoes, it's scary if you think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you got, again, you think about someone who went to school, got themselves in debt, and they can't find nothing. Then, like I said earlier, you have social media who's telling you like, oh, become a millionaire just by doing these 4 side hustles.
Right. Yeah. And my situation was exactly that, compounded with COVID, because I graduated college in 2021. So during COVID. So I was, I'm not going to say like screwed over, but I kind of was, because I went to Santa Barbara City College for 2 years, because out of high school, my grades were nothing. So went to Santa Barbara City, was able to transfer to UCLA. So 2 years at Santa Barbara City, 2 years at UCLA. I came to UCLA fall of 2019. So my goal was first quarter, figure out school, because it was a quarter system. So figure that out so I could succeed. Second, I was able to figure out school in the first quarter. Second quarter, I was going to focus on making friends, going to parties, all that stuff. COVID hit. So didn't get an internship, didn't really make any friends there, moved home. And then now I have an economics degree from UCLA, but I barely went there. I don't know anyone there. I didn't network. I didn't make any
networking.
I didn't make any connections. So it's like, and I know that's everyone my generation too. Like my age, we all just figured it out, did online university. Everyone cheated pretty much, because you could just look up the answers. It was a huge problem. Yeah. So,
man, that's, again, I look at your situation. I look at some of the people that are my age who switch careers thinking that, you know, like it would be easier. But I think social media is 99.9% lies.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like the dating world. You see so many options out there, so you can never find anything that's perfect for you, because you think it should be perfect, but the truth is it's never going to be perfect. Same thing with a job. There's so many options, so nobody can ever settle, but really there's not that many options. Like Ventura doesn't have that many jobs, so it's that same thing. You have to make it work for you.
So that hardest decision, business decision that you're trying to make, is it this that you're trying to, or are you pivoting from that?
I believe in it, but the problem is it would have to be a very social media focused, very like promoting myself on Instagram, and which is like
anti what you're going for,
right? And I tried to do that in like the fitness world. It was just draining for me. Like when I was competing athletically, it was just everything I did, I was like, oh, I should film this, and it just felt so not genuine and
it sucks the soul out of the activity a little bit, I feel like. When you film everything,
right? And then like part of the dose programming would be things like meditating or whatever, and it's just not real if I'm setting up a camera before I do something to be in the moment.
Right.
And like the marketing for it would be easy. I would just film myself doing whatever activities I had programmed, but it just doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword for that.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of people like that. It's just the marketing side, you can't really grow without social media right now. So it's like, how do you get the word out there without, be on social?
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned the pandemic too, and a lot of people were forced to stay indoors, I feel like everyone's kind of forcing something right now with, companies and getting away from things. I know a lot of teachers who kind of retired early because they didn't want to learn how to teach Zoom style. Right. And they just threw in the towel and say, hey, I'm retiring early. Like not only that, but also people who work for the county.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like scary because the business I'm in, like I already consider myself old 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I know there's no interest from youngsters the way it was when I got into the business.
Right.
Yeah. And
why do you think that is? Just
I think it's just the way the world's changed. I mean, radio's free, and now you compete with streaming, you compete with YouTube, you compete with video games. Like all these video games come with their own music now, and it's not like it was before where radio was a social media for the world.
right.
Yeah, now we're just another option
Competing for attention.
Yeah.
Interestingly, long format content is like the most watched of all social medias. I mean, I don't know if that's like, it's definitely on the rise though. I wouldn't say like a lot of people say short format, everything needs to be quick. But actually long format is really rising in popularity. So we might, for all you know, we could get really sick of short format and that quick thing. Like I feel like everything's a pendulum. It might swing back. So,
I look at the kids like 10 and under, and their attention span is like, man, there's
Super
nothing.
short.
Yeah.
And it's multitasking too,
Yeah.
right? They're doing like 3 different things, but then it's all super quick.
Yeah. And so I'm like thinking like, all right, what about when they're in their 20s?
that's true.
Yeah. It's going to be
That's true.
crazy. Apple Vision doesn't help that.
No,
where you got
man.
like 5 different screens on your face.
Yeah. And it's crazy because again, I feel like we're being forced to, you're talking about changing careers. I'm used to change all the time, every couple of years, just because of what I do. But it seems like since the pandemic and now that there's more competition, it's kind of like scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like there's just a widespread burnout. Like everyone's just sick of everything because there's either you're being pushed to do something or being told you should do something a different way. It's just like, I feel like everyone's just burnt out. There's too much information. There's too many options. Like studies show that, I always think about this with menus. Studies show that if you have fewer options on the menu when you order food, you're way more likely to be happy with your choice. So every time you go to a restaurant and there's like 10 pages and it takes you forever to pick, and then you get your food, you don't love it, and you're like, well, shoot, I should have gotten the other thing I was eyeing.
Right.
So if there are fewer options, there's only 5, you're way more likely to pick what you want to do.
Hence In-N-Out.
There you go.
In-N-Out's simple menu.
The best.
Yeah.
In-N-Out's the best. I will pick it every time.
Right.
Yeah. And another thing that frustrates me is I just seen this yesterday. It was someone that was struggling and they were about to lose their home. And they said they started an OnlyFans and they banked. And I was like, someone who went to school and did all that and
There
to
you go.
succeed, they had to do a
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
I think they did a poll of kids. I don't know if it was in this country or the UK. I think it was this country and the UK. Their highest dream career is to be an influencer.
Wow.
In the US. That is like if you ask kids.
Yeah,
Well,
I could see that.
I mean, kids, they grew up with social media, right? So
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, I think I was on the brink of like, I got to see both sides. Like I grew up in the 90s. So it was, MySpace was like my first introduction to social media.
Same.
So that was like in high school for me. So I'm dating myself, whatever, it's fine. But I got to see before where I'm like, I had to like go out of my way and, make contact and do all that stuff. And then after where it was like, oh, look at the social media stuff. So I think it's nice to have that balance, but I can't imagine like growing up and having the pressure of like, hey, how come you didn't post my picture? Like whatever it may be. And just that pressure, like of just having a dual image. Yeah. It's not just who you are in real life. It's who you are digitally as well. Right. So,
yeah, I think it's so funny since I've had my Instagram deactivated for 3 months. When I first did it, the amount of people that thought I was in some like insane psychological distress or went through a breakup or went through whatever and people reaching it, which I appreciate. I'm very happy that people are looking out for me, but I was just like, no, I just need a break. I'm totally fine.
Was
but
it hard when you got off it?
No, honestly, I was so sick of it. And it's been 3 months. I have not even considered downloading it since. The only thing it's hard for is like
communication, right?
Well, no, actually doing research. Like if I'm, for example, I just told you I was researching marketing companies for my job right now. And I want to be able to look at their portfolio on Instagram and see how good they are at social media marketing. And so I have to go on the web, and then when I click on the pictures, it says you have to sign in. So that's a pain. But other than that, I don't miss it at all. I don't even know if I'll come back, to be honest.
That's wow. Yeah. So, okay, I guess if we're pivoting there, since you deactivated it and you're not going to use that as kind of like a valve to, spread your business, do you have like a different idea of how you would grow and like market yourself?
I don't know. I don't really want to market myself at all anymore. My other idea, which I feel like I shouldn't share because I feel like it's a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyways because I don't care. I was thinking about doing like not so much a podcast, but more like a long format docuseries on YouTube, but then it could be a podcast if I wanted. I could upload it that way. But I wanted to interview farmers specifically, farmers and craftsmen.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about like small businesses. I'm talking about specifically people that create something with their bare hands.
Okay.
So like a perfect example is my sister has a horse, and she had someone who handmade her a saddle. I'm like, who started that?
Such a lost art.
Right. And it has to be their family did it or something. There has to be a cool story behind that because nobody does that.
Yeah.
So I would love to interview like craftsmen and then farmers. Like I told you guys, I live on an orchard. The guy who owns the orchard is 93. And I'm like, does anyone know his story of the land? Like this is one of the last like plots of old. I've heard some stories about the land, and I feel like this, if he passes away, it's just going to be lost. And I'm not going to interview to ask about like their agriculture practices. Like I want to know, how did you end up here? Like what's your life story? And ideally I want these farms to be like regenerative farms that do really good things, not like monocrop agriculture. But yeah, I would love to like interview these people. And I don't know if you've seen Soft White Underbelly. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a famous series on YouTube, but basically this guy walks through Skid Row and he asks homeless people if he can interview them. He just brings them into the studio, sits them down, and just listens to their life story.
Right.
So, I think I've seen a Nightline on that.
Yeah, it's really intense.
The guy used to be homeless, right?
No, he was actually a Apple advertiser. So he used to work at, his name is Mark Latia, I think. But yeah, he used to be an Apple advertiser. So he'd do all the advertisements for Apple. And then he was like, he went through this change in his life where he was like, I am so sick of the perfection, because everything Apple's like perfect and shiny and whatever. And he's like, I'm so sick of that. I want to see like the lowest of the low of humanity, and I want to show that now. Yeah,
I seen something similar where, certain people look at homeless people and they always think that that they're on drugs or they're in that situation, but. It's a similar situation. He shares their story of how they ended up homeless.
Right. So, and you really see the humanity of people, like their story and how they ended up here and how did this happen. So I imagine like that, but obviously it's not homeless people. It's like farmers. So like that style of filming and then mixture with like almost like bushcraft. I don't know if you've seen bushcraft, like that's blowing up on YouTube because it's just so peaceful to watch. So I picture like almost scenery that's like bushcraft, so people can listen to stories and just see peaceful nature, and it's like soothing and it's just positive. Like you just, there might be hard times that they talk about, but it's just human and it's raw and it's nature. And so I would love to do that. I would start with the farmer of the farm I live on. And the idea would be that eventually I start with donations, but eventually I want to give back to the ones that are struggling or like promote their businesses. A lot of regenerative farms, they sell meat online and stuff. So
what's the What's your biggest hurdle there?
Just
starting it.
I've done tons of research on, like, I could start with my iPhone. iPhones are good enough that you can get like footage, and so I guess I would just have to buy a microphone. I would want to create like a reach out like thing, so when I reach out to the people, here's what I want to talk about. And then honestly, I wouldn't need a studio or anything. I would sit them in a chair in the farm and say talk and tell me whatever you want. So I could start that one easily. And there's nothing like it that I've seen.
Yeah,
so.
I like that because, like you said, everyone has a story, and everyone's story is different. So someone could connect to it in some way. So you should start it.
Yeah. I'm just not a videographer or an editor. I've done it.
You could find people. You could find people for that,
Yeah. I honestly think it would be fun to do, though. It would take a lot of time for me to edit those videos and stuff. But
sounds
it's
like you're
worth
passionate
it.
about it too, which helps a lot.
And to give back, like, I think about this 93-year-old farmer and his family. I know he has family that they could treasure this and they could pass it down. It'll be on the internet forever, and they can see what their great-grandfather did and his story. So
I feel like all the like really good channels that kind of people are addicted to kind of start off as like an idea like that, where it's just like a passion project where you're just like, I got to get this story out, and then you do it in a creative way, and then people follow it. So I think you should just go for it. What were you gonna say, Mambo?
Oh, I was gonna ask you, like, when you share about how you went to school and you felt robbed. Where does the give back come from? Like, you want to give back to this world. I want to share these people's stories, because someone in that situation, that feels like the world fucked them over, wouldn't want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't feel that way. I feel like it's unfortunate, but I'm not upset about it. Like, people died with COVID-19. I'm not gonna like complain and make it a woe is me thing, but I think like why I want to give back is just honestly the way I was raised. Like, my mom and dad worship animals. Like, my family, my sister's a veterinarian. My parents are the type that if someone like sees a raccoon on the side of the road with a broken leg, they call our family and we come get it. Which is a true story. We had a raccoon named Kilo, and he had a broken leg, and we put a cast on it. We released it. We had a snake. We had a 3-legged toad that my dad found on a work site.
Wow.
So yeah, like gophers. We rescued baby gophers that didn't have a mom. Like crows that have been hit by cars. Like that's been my whole life. And my dad would always take me outside in the front and be like, "Do you hear that? Listen, that's a Cooper's hawk. Hear it?" And like, he used to always do stuff like that. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's just like part of who I am. And then I feel like the older I get, the more I'm just entrenched in my phone, and I'm so sick of it. And I just want to
touch with that.
I just want to do something positive and just like, I don't know. I would love my dream life. I always joke that I would love to live in a cabin in the woods and just go crazy talking to birds all day. Like, that's my dream. Like, have 10 cats, just talk to the birds. Like, but it's not realistic. So I'm like,
Johan's on board.
He is.
Well, I'm trying to think back to when I was your age, and I was like, man, where was I drunk during that time?
Same.
I do that too. I do that too. In all fairness.
Yeah, but that's super dope that you're trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
That gives back to the world. Yeah.
It's just hard. Like, everyone says that, but then I feel like sometimes these things just turn corrupt in some way. Like, so many health and wellness brands I've looked at potentially working for, the closer you look, it's like, oh, this is just profit motivated. They don't actually care. Actually, this supplement that they're saying is great for you is terrible for you. Like, there's just so many things. And I would just love to do it right. But the problem is, like, how do you get money for that podcast? I mean, because I know like the normal way to get money from podcasts is having partners, but I would really want to make sure that these are partners that are like good, solid. Like, well,
I mean, you don't necessarily need to start with a partner. You could just, start small and just put it out there, and the people that are interested will come. Like, I feel like, or at least the viewers, I feel like a lot of people find that as a roadblock, but it's more of a self block, like a self blockage that you put on in front of yourself instead of like the reason why you don't want to start it. You know?
I mean, for sure, I could start with zero money.
Yeah.
An iPhone, text the owner of my property and say, hey, let's do this. Yeah. But I know myself, and I can see myself if the videos don't do well, I'll just like spiral, you know? And then I'm back to chasing that social media algorithm, which I don't want to do. So that's my biggest thing is like.
Yeah, I think when I started researching podcasts, they say that a lot of people that started, they give up before they hit 30 episodes. During the pandemic, I remember it was hard to get equipment because everyone said, I'm going to start a podcast. Yeah. But, right after, you seen people weren't loading up their next episode or, like I would ask them like, yo, what's up with your podcast? There was a lot of equipment that you could buy on a deal because people just gave up. Yeah. So I think as long as you start it and stick to it, it'll turn into something. Yeah.
What are the statistics at 30 episodes people tend to blow up? Is that what you're saying? Or just like they give up?
Give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just think that, when I told my parents what I wanted to do for a living, like they're like, no, you're going to get a job. But now, like, I gave up like the DJing part of it and focused on the radio part of it. But there was a time when, Vegas was paying some of these big name DJs over $1 million when, growing up.
You used to DJ? Like,
yeah.
Oh, awesome. What kind of music?
So I first started DJing house music. And I would do a lot of like the warehouse parties, like in the 90s and clubs. That's and then cool. When I got into radio, I started, doing more of the top 40 stuff. But dance music is like.
Who are your favorite artists? Do you still listen to dance music?
I like a lot of production from Armand Van Helden. I don't know if so he's like
back one
of my favorites. And
then, Above and Beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Best. They're the best. I like trance, but I listen to everything. So, but
yeah, and I really like the way where music is at now. Well, maybe a couple years back because now you would get like like the David Guetta like collab with a lot of the pop artists, and it just had that sound that the deep house or the hard house and
I feel like prime EDM was like 2008 to like 2012. That was like the best. And I was 9 years old, but my sisters, I've listened to house music since as long as I can remember because my sisters are 7 and 10 years older than me. So they were going to EDC when I was like 8. Oh, wow. And so they had control over everything I was listening to and I loved it. And I still listen to that old time stuff. It's the best.
Yeah. I never, believe it or not, I'm a big dance head. I've never went to EDC.
I haven't been yet, but I mean now it's different. It's not the same.
Yeah, I was talking to wifey. I was like, would it be weird if we went and with the old people there?
No, I've been to some festivals where I've seen like 80-year-olds and they're just partying. Dope. It's great. I love it.
Well, I think that's what life's all about is just enjoying it. But I think to me like people. My friends that are my age, like they always look at me like, because they have like regular jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My job is like, I'm around, late 20-year-olds, early 30-year-olds. They still go to the clubs. The guy that DJs for me, he's 25? So being around them, I think like keeps,
you young.
Yeah. And even like when it comes to like the fashion part of it, I'll meet up with my friends and they're like, I tell them like, yo, why you dressed like a dad,
they're
bro?
They're just lame. They don't get it.
Yeah. And I'll show up in my Jordans and still wearing my hat, but at the same time, I think you said it earlier. Like before, when I first started radio, is like I did my job and I could be myself. Right. Now I gotta be the radio guy all the time. So, it's crazy. It's like a different from when I first started till what it is now.
Yeah. So how many years have you done radio in total?
Man, I started interning in 95.
Wow.
And then officially started on the air as a night show 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And have you ever like thought about leaving, or you've always?
No, I mean, I've been fired numerous times, but not
the industry.
No, no. It's I've always liked music. I've never been good at playing instruments or singing.
Yeah.
And DJing was like the closest thing that I got to it. Yeah. And then once I got into radio was the closest I got to being around artists, being able to interview them. So that's cool. It's that's the key, I think, is finding your passion. And then once you're there, like for example, my sister is a veterinarian. She said since she was 4 years old, she wanted to be a vet. And she did it. Yeah. Like, I never had that. So I'm like, my middle sister didn't really have that. So we're both just like, what do I do? Yeah, what do we do? Where do we fit into this world? Yeah. So my wife and I, we had our son, we were young. So my son is our oldest. He's 30. Mm-hmm. Then we have my daughters who, I just told you, like, my kids are all older. She just turned 25. Mm-hmm. So my son has a son, my grandson. Mm-hmm. He's always saying that he wants to be a gamer. Mm. My wife always says, like, you're not going to be a gamer. They don't. So I'm the opposite. Like, I push it. Like, if you want to be a gamer, go for it. Because I know how it felt. Yeah. When I wanted to be a DJ, now I see these big time DJs like doing their thing, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not killing nobody's dreams. Like,
there's big time gamers now,
Yeah, and it's crazy because we've worked with Levity Live, for comedy shows and stuff, and sometimes they have gamers in there and they sell out, and they're just playing the game, making money, and there's just people there watching.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My boyfriend and I play a lot of zombies and FIFA. That's it. Nice. Like our Saturday, Friday nights, our friends come over and we all play FIFA and just drink and then fight with each other. It's so fun.
That's great.
Great. I love it. I love video games. Yeah. But I'm not the type to be like addicted. I get sick of it after 2 hours.
You don't throw the controller at the TV afterwards?
Oh, no. All right. I slide tackle every single guy, get everyone red cards, and then I get yelled at the whole time. And I'm like, this game is about being like having fun. Yeah. This is how I have fun. Right. I slide tackle. Yeah, exactly. And Yolan's like, but then my players can't play. I'm like, I don't care. I'm having fun.
It's better to get in trouble on the video game than the real world.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
So are you going to execute this idea you have? I think you should.
I really want to. Yeah.
What was the other idea that you had?
Oh yeah, you mentioned 3, right?
Yeah, so Dose was the first one. I honestly don't see that happening. I see it working. I see if someone wants to take that idea and go for it, I see it working 100%. I've actually like implemented that plan with my friends and helped them. Like that's where it came from, is I was trying to help a friend who felt really lost in her career, and I actually also did like a financial plan for her as well, because she was in debt from school and stuff. But I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm like, I wouldn't
economics.
I know how it works, but I'm not certified in that. But yeah, so I see that working 100%. The video, like the farming and craftsman videos, I 100% want to do. There's so many farms around here, especially Ojai.
Yeah, I have no idea about any of them either.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I'm sure they all have insane stories. Like, for example, I went on a cruise on a bachelorette party, and one of the guys there has a farm in, I might butcher this, but I think it's upstate New York, that's been in his family since like the 1700s.
Wow.
And it's his family's land. They were some of the first people here. Like, I don't know if it might be the 1600s actually. I'm butchering this, but they were some of the first people here, and that farm has been in his generation ever since in his family. So like, he's someone I would love to interview on that. But yeah, what would also be cool is I'd be able to travel. I'd get to go to these farms, go to like Texas, go to New York, go to, and just go explore. But yeah, I really want to do it.
What was the last one? What was the last business idea?
Veterinary opening a vet clinic.
Okay.
Yeah. I could totally do that with my sister, but just getting her to take the first step. And
yeah, that's tough. She has to commit too, right?
Yeah. And where they live I would not say to open up a clinic up there. It's up in like south of Slow in a middle of nowhere. Just the employees aren't that great out there.
You can do both of your business ideas out there. You know, there's a lot of farms over there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally could. Both of those are I could definitely do and be successful. It's just getting myself to start.
One thing about those last two business ideas that reminded me of what Mamba was saying is that, like, he's saying he's like around younger people and makes him feel young. It sounds like those two ideas are like something that brings you back to childhood and that kind of like reminds you of that like core person that you are, which is why I think you should probably chase those two. It sounds like you're more passionate about those two. The other two is like, or the other one, the dose one, sounds like, you know that it helps people. So you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. Cause like, I know that people need this information, but you probably could morph that somewhere in the other two somehow. But I don't know. I think the hardest part is that potential energy in the beginning to put into just starting it. And I got to give credit to Mambo because I probably would not be here, definitely would not be podcasting if it wasn't for this guy, like, and getting me like, hey, just come in and like, let's just co-host. And I was like, oh, okay.
Now you're comfortable.
Now I'm comfortable, you know? And like, I used to just be like, oh God, how am I going to do this? And it was like, took so much energy, but
I remember I asked him he said he had recorded an episode with Jules just to like a practice. And it took him the longest to send it to me.
My God.
Because I don't think he wanted me to listen to it.
I didn't.
But once I heard it, I was like, yo, like, this is good. Because, I mean, when it comes to podcasting and art, there's no right or wrong way of doing things. You just do it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to sit there.
Right.
I mean, if you start what you want to start the filming, nobody's going to tell you like, oh, you did that wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Or why didn't you do this? I mean, it's your art.
And the first one's always not going to be as great as
exactly
the 100th
what I was
one.
going to say. You're going to be your toughest critic no matter what. Like, and I critique that podcast a lot. And that's why I was dragging my feet trying to send it to him. You know, I didn't want anybody to listen to it, but it's just getting it out there. Yeah. And like just going for it, you know? So
yeah, I think execution is everything, and then being consistent after that. I'm just thinking back to a lot of the things that I've done in my career. The hardest thing was getting it going and the first one.
Yeah. Yep. You know what's funny is like I can give advice to other people and I can help them with their things, but doing your own, why is that so hard? Like my sister's vet clinic, I'm like, we're meeting next Saturday, I'm creating a business plan for you, let's go. And like I'm ready, I'm pushing her to do it, but then for me it's just I don't know.
See, but when you mentioned the first one, I'm thinking like that's something that comes natural to you, and I see that as a almost like a personal life coach that you could be doing, and still doing the other things you want to do.
Right.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I feel like generally depressed about how much people are on their phones, like on computers. Like I work on a computer, my neck, my back hurts all the time. Like I wish people would go outside more and I'm not saying I'm great at it. Like I'm not tooting my own horn. I wish I was outside more. And there's just, I think you have to put that out into the world to get people to do it. And
you gotta start a group. Start a group and figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Followers.
Yeah.
Non-social media followers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so are you still competing at all?
I'm not. No, I actually had a chiropractor compress my nerve in my spine. So I've been in extreme pain for about, I don't even know how long it's been, like a month and a half.
Oh, wow.
It was the weirdest experience of my life. I went to her once, was in like pain, and I have scoliosis. So I should mention that I think she was treating, even though I told her I have scoliosis, I think she was treating me just like normal adjustments. And I had such bad scoliosis. I had a back brace growing up. So, but yeah, anyways, first session, I was in pain, but not debilitating. And I was like, oh, and I'm adjusting, like they say. And everyone told me, keep going. You're just adjusting. Went to the second session, and I don't really know what she did, but I had this, it wasn't pain, but I had this like crazy euphoria feeling, like I was high. I don't know what it was. I felt like I was out of my body. I felt so strange. I couldn't keep my eyes closed because I just felt so weird. I had to open my eyes to like get my bearings. And I was like, what was that? And I thought it was so weird. And then about 4 hours later, I was in agony, and I was like bent over, couldn't like stand up straight, so much pain. Then like 4 days later, my foot went numb. My foot was numb for the whole bottom of my foot was numb for like 10 days.
Wow.
And then that went away. And then I had such bad sciatica, I couldn't sleep. So fully compressed my nerve. I got x-rays, but you can't see any nerve damage on an x-ray. So I have to get an MRI. But I work with a spine surgeon. He's like, no, 100% numbness in your foot, L4, L5, compressed nerve. Damn. That's what it is every time. So yeah. Nice. So long story short, not competing, but I'm happy about it because they kind of changed our division around, and they segregated adaptive divisions, so a different state, a different competition. It's totally different, and that's not why I compete. I compete so that like regular people who've never seen an adaptive athlete can stumble upon it and think that it's cool and be inspired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't need to be like competing only with other adaptives and friends and family watching. Right. Like I don't, everyone already knows what we do. Like I want other people to see it. So
yeah. Well, it gives you time to work on your other passion projects. So
yeah. All right.
So I feel a fourth visit coming once you start this.
Yeah, I was just going to say, all right, what's the deadline? 30, 60 days, first video. I mean, I could do it in 2 weeks, really, but I don't think that's realistic.
All right, just send it to us, and then we'll blast it out, Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll definitely have you back. This was a different kind of combo than we've had in the past.
Really?
Yeah. I like this just because, last 2 times we've had you, it was about competing.
Purely CrossFit. Yeah.
And this is more personal.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are going through a similar situation of trying to figure it out. People who I've been in my career over 25 years, I think, if the math is right. And I still don't know what I'm doing. So I think as the world changes and I think it's still a trip to me how young you are and just putting social media to the side.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
It's a big first step for sure. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I hope the pendulum swings the other way and people get
will.
So sick of like, hopefully VR, all that stuff. They get so sick of it that they're like, I just want to go on a real hike, not a virtual hike. Like, so hopefully that happens. And I don't know, but then all the hikes are going to be crowded. So there's that.
So enjoy it while you can now. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But another great episode. Anything else you want to put out there?
No, I'm just really grateful you guys.
Social media plug? No, I'm just kidding.
No social plug. No social plug. But when I'm back, I'll plug my YouTube that will have my docuseries.
I like it.
Yeah, but you should really start the video stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've said it yourself how easy it could be for you to do it.
Yeah.
You just need to buy a mic. And, there's a lot of little mics that are cheap and sound great.
Yeah.
And, having that with your phone and what your vision is for it is like,
Yeah. Honestly, after this, if you have advice for that, I would love to hear like what mics you recommend and stuff like that.
See, I'm like what you said about you're good at giving advice but not doing it. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to like podcasts and things like that, I'm more than happy to share all the info for that. So we'll definitely talk about that. And
there we go.
Awesome.
And like I said, next time you come, you're gonna have that first or second episode going.
I want to watch it already. I'm curious now.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be
right,
good.
Man.
Just
anything else?
Start.
I'm good.
No?
Thanks, Guy.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for checking out the podcast. Make sure you give us a follow at Persistence Culture. Keep moving. Keep moving. This is Persistence Culture.